Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is carburetors, specifically the SU versus the Weber. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how each of these carburetors functions in terms of acceleration, cruising, uh, full throttle application, etc., the power differences, and just a general discussion about tuning, etc., on these carburetors. So let me take these over to the bench. We'll go through every detail side by side so you can understand better the value of the Weber and the value of the SU. And if you're thinking about doing a conversion from an SU to a Weber or Weber back to SU, this video might be helpful for you. So let's go to the bench and take these apart and talk about them. So we're on the bench, and on the left here you can see all the Weber parts. Now I have removed the lid from this carburetor to do a better job of demonstrating what's going on, as well as laid out some of the tuning equipment needed to do a Weber. On the right I have a series of SUs, including the tuning parts for an SU as well. So let's get started with this discussion. And to start out, I want to have a discussion about the purpose of the carburetor, and that is to simply provide the correct amount of fuel to the engine at any given RPM range so that it's running to whatever the conditions are that it's needed of the engine. So for instance, at idle, you want the leanest amount of fuel you can possibly run so the engine runs cleanly at idle and doesn't damage your rings. Now, if you're cruising along doing, say, 20, 30 miles an hour, again, you're just cruising, you're not using the full engine power, therefore you need a very efficient burn at idle and at cruising. Now, if you're trying to accelerate, that's a different use of the engine, therefore you need to have a different amount of fuel, ideally richer, in order to provide the correct power output of the engine so that you can accelerate. And then, of course, we also have full power. So if you're trying to accelerate onto a highway on-ramp or you're doing 70, 80 miles an hour, you might need full power fueling. So that's the goal of the carburetor, is to provide fuel under all those conditions. And then everything else is just the details. And that's what we're going to talk about today in this video. Since the Weber is the newcomer to my channel, we're going to start talking about the SU and how the SU operates before we start discussing how the Weber operates. So the SU carburetor is actually quite a brilliant design, despite how it looks. It is a variable depression, variable jet size carburetor. And what that means is that as the engine airflow requirements increase, so as you're opening the throttle, you're asking for more airflow to flow into the engine and produce more power, the piston here will rise to provide the exact amount of airflow that you're asking for. And then it'll fall when you're not asking for any more of it. So the throat size of this opens and closes. This is the variable component of it. And the jet, which is fixed, has this needle which slides in and out of it. I have the jet and the needle here. So this is the jet tube, lives in here. It is a fixed size. Fuel flows up this and then out into the airstream. The needle slides in. So the needle slides in and out of this jet. And because the needle is tapered, the space between the needle and the jet changes dimensionally as this rises and falls. So you can see here when this is close to the top, there's very little space with the needle. And then way down here at the bottom, there's a lot of space. So as the needle rises, more and more fuel can flow out of the jet tube into the airstream. So for instance, if you're at idle, you're going to be at a very low position, so hardly any fuel is flowing, and then full throttle you'll be way up here. And the SU needle is kind of divided up into 3 or 4 categories: idle, which is here, cruising, which is in here, and then acceleration, which is down here. That's the basic fundamentals of the SU. If you want to learn more about them, I've got links to AC Dodd's videos on how the SU carburetor works, links up here, as well as in the description if you want to learn more about how the SU works. It's got great descriptions and great details and all that. But just to understand that this piston rises and falls depending on the request of the engine and provides fuel accordingly. Now, the Weber, totally different design. There are 2 throttle plates on this Weber. Now, there are multiple designs of Webers. This happens to be a downdraft Weber. There are also side draft Webers, but I'm just going to talk about the downdraft Weber. Now, all Webers operate on similar principles in terms of jetting and sizes and ventures and airflow, but the one thing they have in common is that inside the airstream of this throat of this barrel, the only thing that's in here besides the bridge for the fuel to flow into is the throttle plate down below. So when you open this throttle up, there's absolutely no restriction. There's no delay between closed and open. You don't have to wait for anything to move. It simply just exposes a ginormous air channel to the engine. This particular carburetor is a 2-barrel, and the primary barrel runs until about 3/4 throttle, and then the secondary opens. So most of the driving on this carburetor happens on this primary barrel. And then when you really need to go fast or are accelerating really hard, then the secondary barrel will open. But once again, there's no restrictions, so air can flow in as fast as possible into this carburetor. And that's one of the biggest differences between the SU and the Weber. The Weber can provide the absolute quickest acceleration versus the SU, because again, the SU needs to have this piston rise, so therefore there is a subtle delay in the performance of the engine compared to the Weber. So the Weber is preferred for high performance applications where you're demanding the most out of the engine, whereas the SU is a much more reasonable carburetor. It provides good running conditions for all sorts of RPM ranges, and is very tolerant, whereas the Weber is very, very strict in how you use it. And I'll explain why in a little bit later. So now that I've discussed just the general broad functioning of the carburetors, let's start getting into some of the details. Both of these carburetors have the provision for vacuum porting. This one happens to be here. It is a ported vacuum position because you cannot see the hole opening until you open the throttle disc. So this is a ported vacuum. There are other versions which are manifold, but our preference is ported vacuum on the SU. The Weber also has ported vacuum. It lives back here on this little pipe here. The SUs typically have, not always, but they typically have a port for running crankcase breathers. This SU has one there. This HS2 has one here. And I believe this HS4 has one as well. Yep, there it is. So typically the SUs have provisions for the breather system. However, not all of them have it. The Weber, on the other hand, does not have any provisions for crankcase breathing whatsoever. If you want to have crankcase breathing on a Weber, you're going to have to run it straight into the manifold by adding a fitting to your manifold. And some manifolds already have the fitting, so that may not be a problem, but just be aware that they typically don't have any provisions for crankcase breathing fumes to go into the carburetor. I much prefer having the SU design because it provides a negative pressure to the engine while you're driving, so it actually helps keep the oil cleaner. And I have a whole video about it, link up here if you're interested. Another interesting detail difference between these carburetors is the SU, the later SUs, have temperature compensation for the fuel. So this is a Waxstat HS4, and this is the Waxstat system. Inside here is a small bit of wax, and what it does is it moves the jet slightly up and down depending on the temperature because it expands and contracts, and it makes minor adjustments to the mixture based on the temperature of the fuel. A very useful feature. The Weber, on the other hand, does not have any temperature compensation device for the fuel at all. It just provides fuel. It's just a flowed device. There's no provisions for temperature compensation on this system. I think that's pretty much it for the odd details. Now let's go straight into what makes these things tick and what are the differences between the SU carburetor. So let's start off by discussing fuel flow. So this carburetor needs about 3 to 4 pounds of fuel pressure. The HIF series is about 3. The HS2 is about 1.5 to 2. Same with the HS4. So they all need fairly low amounts of fuel pressure to operate on a Mini or other A-series engine. They both utilize very similar design. So fuel on the Weber comes in through this port, goes through a small filter here, and then there are floats, just like a standard SU carburetor. There are floats that need to have their height set. If you want to learn about that, go check out a manual, but there's a little needle valve there. So the SU works the exact same way. This is the float bowl on an HS carburetor. Here's the lid. The fuel comes in this lid, and attached to the lid, there's a float that sits like this, and there is a needle valve which goes into here. Here's the needle valve. So once again, it also has a height, a specific height that it needs to be set to. And both of these carburetors are very sensitive to their float heights, because on a Weber, the float height determines how high the fuel column is in the center main jets. On the SU, the fuel level once again is sitting inside of the jet tube. So how much engine vacuum it takes to pull the fuel up is determined by the height of that column. Same thing with the Weber. When the main jets are running, if the fuel is all the way at the top, it takes very little engine vacuum to pull fuel in, whereas if it was really low, it would take a lot of vacuum to pull the fuel in. Just think of sucking, say, a liquid through a straw. If it's at the bottom of the cup, it takes more suction to pull it up than it does if it's at the top. Once the fuel has entered the float chambers, we then have to deal with starting the engine. And both these carburetor designs have a choke system. The SU carburetor, the choke system, is necessary for starting an engine that's cold, because it's hard to start an engine that's cold because the fuel particulates don't vaporize efficiently on a cold engine. So we have to add fuel. The way the SU adds extra fuel is by pushing the jet downwards. So if I rotate this cam mechanism, you'll see the jet pops downward. So that's choked, fully choked, and that's not choked at all. Now, every SU carburetor has this cam design, so as the cam rotates, it pushes the throttle open to increase idle speed. That's how the choke system works. On the Weber, there are variations on the design. This particular Weber is a DG AV, and that means that the choke mechanism here used to be a water choke. A stands for aqua, so aqua in Spanish is water. Now, there used to be two pipes. Water would come in and water would go out from the cooling system. Inside here is a clock spring that would twist based on the temperature. So as it got hot, the clock spring would expand, and as it got cold, it would retract. And that rotating motion would operate this lever here. You see, there's a lever mechanism here. That lever is connected to the top of the carburetor to these flaps. And these are the choking flaps. I forget exactly what they're called in the book, but when these flaps are fully closed, engine vacuum is high, and it pulls fuel from the jets into the carburetor at a high rate. And then as this water choke warms up, it rotates the spring, it relaxes the position of this goes downwards, and these flaps slowly open to reduce the choking action on the jets. And then once the engine is fully warmed up, these flaps are just straight up and down, providing no airflow obstruction. So that's basically how it works. Now, this choke is an electric choke, so instead of the water flowing through here, you just apply 12 volts to it, and it electrically warms up that spring, causing this motion to operate. So the electric choke technically is a timed-based choke. So as soon as you turn on the key, this starts operating. So if you have a Weber and you need to run it at cold weather, as soon as you turn on the key, start the car, because this thing starts working the minute you turn on the key. There is a manual conversion for this mechanism. Should you not want to use one of these automatic chokes, it's just a manual mechanism that rotates this by cable. So there is a simpler version of this in case you're interested. So I've realized that this discussion on this carburetor has gotten quite lengthy, so I'm going to split this up into 3 parts. So with part 1 having just been discussed, part 2 is going to be the conclusion of how this carburetor operates, as well as the SU, how the SU works. And in part 3, I'm going to do a complete discussion on my thoughts on tuning the Weber versus the SU, driving conditions that they both operate in, and my experience with them. So stay tuned for the next 2 parts. Hopefully they'll be out relatively soon, but you'll guys find out when I release them. So if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.